Alright guys, welcome back. Once again, we're still in Unit 1 discussing today hypothesis and what exactly the limitations of science are, okay? This is a kind of interesting topic and it's something that bears a little bit of notification. This I'm going to put in the extensions file because it actually is a little bit more of an extension on the things that we will discuss in this chapter, but I would recommend watching it based on the fact that this kind of content will be on your test. It's going to be a little bit tough for us to kind of discuss limits of science. As actual heavy-duty activities in class, you'll notice them on your labs and stuff. I tend to count off if your hypotheses are outside the limits of science. So, what do limits of science mean, okay? And for that, we're going to have to get you to refer to your definitions again, okay? You need to remember to write these down. They include hypothesis, scientific law, control, independent variable, dependent variable, which we talked about in the first video of this unit, accuracy and precision, which we'll talk about in the next video, okay? Also remember from the last video where we discussed units and dimensional analysis and error analysis, okay? Good. Alright, so we understand that a hypothesis must be testable in science. So what does it mean to be testable, okay? Well, science actually can't test things such as aesthetics, how something should be done, a preferential method is actually something that can be tested, but how you believe something should be done is something that you can't test, and that goes into morality. So those two kind of tie together. And science can also not test the supernatural. We'll discuss these all a little bit more in depth as we go along. First of all, let's look at aesthetics. What does the image on the right look like to you? There's two different images that most people will see. Some people see a duck and others see a rabbit. And who's to say which one of you is right? Right? Well, that's actually kind of how science works. Hypotheses can't be used to test how something appears to one person. So if I was to say that this will get taller, what is it relative to? Okay, we don't have a uniform definition of tall that all people go by the same meaning of. Okay, so what I see as tall may not be what you see as tall, and vice versa. And what I think is very, very hot, I'm a little bit of a wimp, may not seem as hot to you, okay? So that's important to keep in mind. You can't generate a hypothesis based on how something appears, okay? Science can't test which one of these is right. Now, in morality and in how something should be done, okay, these kind of tie really close together. You can't test whether something is good or bad. You can test how calories affect somebody, but you can't test if it's bad for you, okay? Quote unquote bad, right? You understand and you can imply from the results some kind of thing like that, but these issues fall more along the lines of philosophy and interpretation of results, okay? Science is strictly there to test something and provide results. And so testing things like morality or based on a moral basis just can't work. And how something should be done kind of applies to that. It's derivative of the morality dilemma. There is no one right or wrong way of doing something. All you're doing in science, all you're doing with testing a hypothesis is bringing forth the results. Okay, you have an idea that you want to test. You're going to test it by any means necessary and present it to everybody using scientific literature, right? We discussed that in the first video. So all we do is provide the way that something is, and you can interpret it. Finally, hypothesis can't be used to test the supernatural. So what does that mean? Okay, well, we can't use a hypothesis and blame things on ghosts. We can't say that ghosts are the reason that this is happening. And also, science cannot be used to test religion. Religion falls under an idea of the supernatural, and therefore it's outside of the bounds of what science can actually test. So things that are deemed miracles may be outside of the spectrum of science. Okay, so understand that. I'm not going to stand on a soapbox either way. If you wish to discuss religion on a personal basis, well, feel free to contact me before or after school during activity period, and I'll discuss to you mano a mano. But as far as it goes, as far as the curriculum tells me to teach, supernatural entities, supernatural things cannot be tested within the bounds of science. So what does that mean? Let's back up a second and let's kind of break down how this would appear using the whiteboard. Okay, so you'll notice on this image that we have 4 different types of hypotheses. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Now we're going to look at these and see which of these actually can be tested using scientific methods, all right? So the first of these says, the doors in my house creak consistently because of ghosts. Why would that be testable or not testable? Primarily because of this reason right here. It includes the word ghosts. Ghosts fall under an idea of the supernatural, and that is not testable within the bounds of science. Okay, how about number 2? Is number 2 testable? The tree will get bigger. Not necessarily. That's because this word right here is relative, okay? We're talking aesthetics here. What is bigger to me may not be bigger to other people. Now, number 3 says the tree will grow up twice as tall with the help of fertilizer. Is that testable or not testable? As a matter of fact, it is testable, and therefore this is a solid hypothesis. How about number 4? Growing plants with fertilizer will be better. Is this testable or not? It actually falls under the grounds of morality, okay? So therefore, this one is not, because we're including words like better. You need to explain it and be with as little relativity as possible, all right? You want to be very, very factual with your information, and you want to provide a statement without bias. By doing that, you come upon a very solid hypothesis when you generate one like number 3. And we're going to practice with generating hypothesis much more in class. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, make sure and let me know. Come in for activity period, and I'll be here to help you as much as I can. Thanks for stopping in and watching this video, guys. Y'all have a great evening.